Okay, Jenna, here we are again, having another little talk discussion and philosophical, talking about yoga, teacher training, healer training, possibilities. We wanted to speak something about the breath, which you have realized is quite phenomenally important in the yogic world.
Mm-hmm.
Something I've been struggling with most of my life because I see a lot of yoga is taught without the breathing, and
Mm,
it's such an important part. Physically, your body needs oxygen.
mm,
Mentally, energetically, we need the prana. And if you're teaching yoga without these additives,
mm.
you're missing the beneficial healing aspects, you're missing the empowerment. So, your experience with the breath?
Yeah, I mean, in the last few years of coming across some teacher trainings that have had a big impact in regards to the breath, I've realized how impactful that is in my personal sadhana. In the first few years of doing teacher trainings, we touched upon the breath, pranayama,
Yeah.
but I never understood it in the way that I have learned in the last few years, and especially coming across breathing practices such as Ekadasi and Panchasahita
Mm-hmm.
um, that you teach. I was really blown away with those practices and realized how important they are. And since I've been guiding my students on the path with these powerful breath practices, I've noticed the transformation in them as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's been such a big eye opener to people of wow, this is real transformation through the breath. This isn't a 3 hour workshop in how to become a yoga breath facilitator that you see out there all the time now.
Yeah. Yeah.
A breath journey, you know,
Yeah.
this is
Those things sell,
yeah,
so people do it, but it
yeah.
goes much deeper. And you're recognizing the depth of these practices.
And the subconscious, the effect that it has on the subconscious, as such as Ekadasi,
Yeah.
is mind blowing. And maybe that's a good place to start is maybe with Ekadasi because Ekadasi is almost like a clearing, right?
Well, that's what it is. Yeah, it's for
Mm,
clearing all the stuff from the past that is inhibiting you and controlling your behavior now as far as how you're reacting to everything.
mm,
So Ekadasi is about disempowering the past on your present situation.
mm,
And it does dig up a lot of stuff. I mean, breathing deep in general, like we talked about before, normally breathing is not a conscious thing. It's a subconscious program
mm,
that keeps you going. 10% of your lung capacity keeps you alive, doesn't empower you. And then because you're stepping into a process, a fundamental process for your life that is in the subconscious domain, you are entering the subconscious.
mm,
And consciousness entering is like going into a dark room with a light and seeing what's in there.
mm,
And breathing in general does this. It opens up the door between conscious mind and subconscious.
mm.
And
When done correctly. Yeah.
yeah, and then,
Yeah.
well, after any breathing will do that. But like you have breathing workshops and things that people do a bunch of holotropic breathing, which brings up a lot of stuff, opens that doorway. But then what? So,
Mm,
and in yoga, you got the ekadasi, which is a longer process of going in and piece by piece looking at your life in these different eras and seeing what happened then and bringing up memories that you didn't like. They were not pleasant experiences, so we
mm.
tend to shunt them into the background because we don't want to be thinking about it and bringing up those feelings again. So these become subconscious blockages over time.
And if someone's hearing Ikadasi for the first time today, it's an 11-day breathing process with 3 days at the end of Savitri, right, to wind the processes down.
Yeah.
And I I feel like it's important to touch based upon how transformational this is. And my experience with Ikadasi was I lost my mum at 51 and kind of thought that I healed it. And I'd hear of all these mysterious things coming up of people doing Ikadasi. And I was kind of a little bit skeptical, I'll be honest, going into it. Wasn't sure if it was anything was gonna happen for me. But I remember breaking down, I think it was on day 6, and feeling this heartache like I'd never experienced before. And then going through all the messages with my mum and thinking, this is strange. Why am I doing this? And I worked out that on that day, it was kind of transported me back to the day that I lost my mum, that I didn't heal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was a stage in my life where I was just trying to get through and suppress the feeling of her leaving.
Yeah.
And
Person the loss.
yeah, and I didn't really feel. I mean, I remember not even crying at my mum's funeral or when she died, which is a big. It's obvious now that I obviously wasn't feeling, and
Yeah.
it all came up during Ikadasi to bring to the subconscious to sit with and to process and to feel and liberate. And I felt so much lighter when I did that. The pain was extraordinary to sit with, to feel, but then I felt liberated.
Yeah, feeling it rather than suppressing it because it's not pleasant and you choose not to. And that's the whole idea of suppression. Is we're blocking things, and if you study people and life, of how we suppress these things, a lot of it is done with the breath. We hold our breath because we don't want to feel something. And all these little times of holding your breath add up to be suppressing your breath on the longer term. And that leads you into a more negative disease potential kind of a state. So it's important to unblock these things, to release the feelings and let the energy flow through these areas of your nervous system, your brain, different areas of your body. The blockages block not just the energy flow, but block circulation, and you end up with severe physiological disorders.
That manifests in other ways.
Yeah.
So Ikadasi is kind of paving the way. It's a very transformational breath practice. For anyone wanting to uncover parts of the subconscious that aren't too obvious, it kind of shows you what you need to work on in a way.
Yeah.
And then
and we need to do that. What we did at the ashram in India, we learned how to breathe, and then once you know how to breathe, this is what you do. And then you're cutting the emotional impact that your past has had on you. You're bringing stuff up and resolving it, and then letting go of the grief or the trauma or whatever it was, and then you can move forward. And then you go into something like Savitri and Panchasavita, which are the next techniques that bring in more empowerment to each of the chakras, to each of the body functions. So if you haven't cleared the negativity, as we've talked about a few times already, if you're empowering the human mind and your human mind is full of trauma and negative expectations and ideas, that's what you empower. You know, if you're worried about cancer, the worry about cancer is activating that situation. So you need to be clear about, well, why should I get this? I'm healthy and doing well. I feel really good. And you keep reaffirming the good feeling of your body by doing regular yoga practice, which puts you back in touch. And every time you're breathing deep, you're feeling everything that's going on in your body. So it's a cool process. And it was the beginning of everything at Anand Ashram, beginning of the 6-month course. You start by disengaging the past, and now we can move forward. And that's our reality.
And practice like Ikadasi, it's not like we ever fully arrive. You know, we're going to be experiencing trauma throughout life as well. So it's another practice that we can come back to kind of keep on top of. You
Yeah,
said 4 times a year you can practice Ikadasi.
yeah.
So yeah.
You should do it and then wait 3 months before
Before
you do
doing
it
it
again.
again. Yeah.
And you're still you kind of opened up the gateway, Pandora's box kind of thing, and stuff will continue coming up until you release it all. So the teacher's training that we did was, based on this evolutionary and this ongoing breathing techniques. One leads to another, and you keep doing them, and you go deeper into it. As we're also learning about the body, the anatomy, the physiology. So it's a whole process, and what I do in the teacher's training now is a reflection of what we did then. Every week, you take one of the chakras and you go in depth as to what's the physiological connection, what's the energetic aspect, the psychological characteristics, the pros and cons of this particular energy. And that's a study. We spend 1 week on each one, and we do techniques that make you feel your body more and are connected to the glands and organs and functions of the first chakra. And in the second week, we go into the second chakra, look at the water element and how this influences all of the fluids of your body, what the situation is in your body, what your current situation, and then how to improve when you find obstacles and discomfort areas in your body or psychological issues. And we look at the mind-body connection of, let's say, second chakra, which we just mentioned. This is governing the fluids of your body, adrenal glands, kidneys, and lymphatic system, etc. But psychologically, it's all of your relationships. Whereas the first chakra is all about you, your body, how you feel, your position in the world, your happiness with your current life. And then the second chakra, how is your relationship with your mother, with your father, with your brothers and sisters, with your friends, with your lover. So you look at all these aspects of how we relate to people and bring in some of the yama niyama of honesty and good communication. And it's important in this realm to be on good terms with everyone. Everyone is a friend. You don't have enemies. You don't have grudges that you hold about someone because something happened 10 years ago and you're still thinking about it. You need to release that. And if you don't release that, you got a grudge that you've never resolved. It's going to impact your liver, which is connected to the second chakra, the kidneys, the adrenal glands, the whole lymphatic system. So it's important let things go, let things flow, as it's a flowing aspect, second chakra. So for a lot of people, this is an area that requires a certain amount of detoxification, let's say, of how you felt. I mean, you mentioned trauma. I mean, you had a bad relationship or an argument with someone. You don't necessarily call that a trauma, but it has an impact of like a trauma. It's not a good, you need to come to an understanding and a resolution of whatever the issue is with people, so that there's a common understanding of what has happened and what can happen now. Reality checks. So then we go into more empowerment of the third chakra, which is the chakra that is governing your action in the world, what you do, not just what happens to you and what happens with other people, but your power to do, to create, to visualize, and to manifest the life that you want without being blown over by someone else's expectations or influenced by past trauma that brings up a negative memory that then you project into, oh, if I try this, it's going to get screwed up again. Or if I step into this relationship, it's going to be hurtful in the end because the last one was, and you anticipate. So you need to discharge the past. And with the third chakra, you're visualizing and empowering the place you want to go. What are you doing with your life, your purpose, your vision? These are all the realities of our action. And then that governs the digestive system, which is what's giving the power and action ability to our body to do what we want to do in the world.
Elimination, to let things go.
Yeah. So then, like I say, each week we spend a week studying the chakras. There's a theory, go into the Hindu roots of it, where I learned it with all the deities, and then going into the more scientific aspect of the deities being personifications of certain forces. The forces in the universe are the reality. The forces are the energies of the chakras. And so the chakra system, which is what I teach, is based on this energetic principles of the universe. The chakras are a mapped out version of the quantum reality that is now being expressed in quantum physics and in modern science. Everything is made of energy, so how do we deal with the energy? In quantum physics, we don't. They're studying the energy, but they don't realize we have access to control it. They're trying to think of technology to gather this energy and to do something with it. But we are already the technology. We have access to, and with the chakra world, and go into the Laya Yoga Kriyas, which is directly feeling these energies, bringing them in, directing them into the chakras so that you're empowering this chakra and the body functions, the glands and organs connected to it. And you're doing this as an experience with the technique. So you start to feel there's a reality of this energetic world. It's not just all theories written up on a blackboard by a quantum physicist. It's a reality of we are made of these energies.
And that's really important point to touch upon is yoga is a science. We know when we're going to do something, postures, breath, visualization, we know exactly how we'll feel afterward if it's performed correctly.
Yeah.
And what I love about this training is it's taking you from gross to get that framework and that understanding to the more subtle realms, because if it's all just logic, we're missing a lot of it.
Yeah. Well,
we need that process to move inwards, and the Chakra Yoga course really offers that. The visualization, the protection with the Laya Kriyas, the bringing it in, the breath.
And well, the getting out of your head from the theory of chakras or whatever into feeling the reality of your body and the fact that energy moves with every breath. As we talked about the breathing, you breathe, you feel yourself breathing, and this blows most people away because they've never actually breathed much, and most people are out of touch with their feelings. They are in their head thinking about life, and this is again a consequence of an education system that doesn't touch on the feeling aspect. It's all very what you know, theory, knowledge, thinking ahead, planning ahead, but what's going on here and now in your body. This is the emotional experience of what they call here and now. It's an experience in this moment, and we're out of touch with that. So coming back into touch with that, just doing the Hatha Yoga postures, you're doing something with your body and you're paying attention to the feeling, to the sensations of what you're doing. And that's an experience. And then by doing that, you're discovering more about your body, about how it feels, about how it works, and
what really matters and what's an illusion. The illusion we've been living, and the worry and the fear about really nothing.
Yeah, so that you look at even with the Ekadasi, you're looking at you have worries and fears about many things. Most people have many. And we pick up these things by watching television when something happens, and then there's a possibility of that happening in your mind, and it creates a fear of, well, maybe given the right situation, I'll have that kind of experience. And you start to see how much the mind is ruling and directing what's going on at a subconscious level without you really observing it.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me about really understanding that is we all have individual processes that come up from the subconscious, but when you really start to understand yourself, you see that majority of the time you're dealing with the same stuff. If you're really observant of what's coming on, the same thoughts are a lot from yesterday, but
Yeah,
if we're
day after
in
day. Yeah.
if we're not aware of the subconscious, then we're involved in the story and we play it out like it's reality. But when we're aware that that's the play crossing the inner screen and you're not actually in it, you choose to take a step back and be a witness of the play, carrying out of seeing the same stuff. You're like, I can choose to watch this play and not be in the movie as a character. And that's.
And when you get into the empowerment of the third chakra, I'm talking about the vision. You create a better scene. I would
for yourself.
Yeah.
A better play.
A better play. You rewrite the manuscript.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a reflection of what happened yesterday. It's another day. It's a new day. And this is the third chakra. It's facing the east, the rising sun, the beginning of the day, and you're projecting what you'd like to accomplish in this day. And that's in harmony with the direction of your life, where you're going.
Yeah. And anyone can do that. Like I like to think that we're both an example of that. I come from a place in the UK that's not much that is a little bit more struggle, like a little bit more struggle streak where I'm from. But that empowerment of your mind, it doesn't matter what age you are or what education you have, you always have a choice to get out of that. It's empowering the mind with these certain breath practices that can change all of that for you.
Yeah, the breathing creates an awakening. And with yoga, it's sort of like a little breathing workshop because you continue. You start to realize how you can change your daily thoughts, your daily expectations, and keep creating your life and moving forward with the possibilities. And if you are creating, you have a vision of what you want to create, your mind then will start bringing in information on how you can create this instead of worrying about, oh, it didn't work yesterday. Okay, I'm putting my effort here. I'm seeing. Your mind will cooperate with what you want to do. But if you leave the mind alone, it's going to pick up these memories from the past and project them. Oh, it looks like this is going to happen again, blah, blah. This is the whole subconscious karmic wheel. And when you become conscious of it, you say, okay, I don't want to repeat this story, as you were saying. So you recognize it. So this is part of the awakening. And then the empowerment comes from being awake and realizing you can change things. You become the director of your life.
When we talk about empowerment, I think it's a good time to bring in Panchasahita here because I find Panchasahita is great for liberating the 5 main organs, but I've also found it's really empowering. Every time I do Panchasahita, it's a 45-day practice. So
in the beginning,
I feel super empowered. Let's talk a little bit about Panchasahita.
It's empowering through the prana and the mathematical ratios of Panchasahita are directing the energy to each of the chakras. You mentioned the glands and organs. That's secondary. What we're really doing is bringing the power to each chakra. And then there's glands and organs connected to each of these. So traditionally, again, this was taught as, it's a physiological rejuvenation technique, but it's rejuvenating through the power of the chakra. It's the prana that you're directing by breathing 4, 16, 8, 4, etc. And empowering the source of power that goes to the glands and organs is going to create a more powerful endocrine gland to begin with, and then body function.
Mm.
So, I mean, you're seeing and experiencing these connections from the breath, the chakra, from your raising your oxygen level and realizing, wow, it feels much better to breathe this way. I'm very happy that I learned this and I'm going to apply it, which is another thing. It's not just that you learn how to breathe, but you start practicing it. As you're practicing, your body starts reminding you more often when you have forgotten to breathe because you're busy thinking. And then you take a breath, you're right back into, oh, I feel myself breathing again. I'm here now.
Yeah.
And then in what I teach, everybody teaches a certain degree of anatomy. Okay, you know where your bones are, where some of the organs are, etc. But I go much deeper because I started with Dr. Swami Vivekananda. The most important is the physiological aspect because we influence our physiology. We influence the glands and the organs as to what kind of hormones to be putting out and what kind of things to eliminate, and we activate our body chemistry, bringing it back to a place where everything functioning at peak performance. We go gland by gland, chakra by chakra. We're going through the whole endocrine system and all the body functions connected to that system. But the mental aspect is very important, and because we're dealing with chakra energy, which is the energy is the connection between your brain and your body. When things are flowing in the body, the oxygen is there, the prana is flowing to the brain and being directed to this chakra, that chakra. You get this whole rejuvenation effect, which is part of the course. We go through this and you feel this process and you heal whatever you thought you had, and we look at why you thought you had it, the whole psychological aspect of it. Did you accept everything they told you about disease in the world? Or do you realize, well, that's old school thinking? The new reality is based on quantum physics and energetic potential. All of these electromagnetic waves that are capable, they are possibilities. They can become this, they can become that. They can become good chemistry, they can become really well-defined hormones, or they can be messed up.
And it's really surprising that just getting out of your comfort zone is something that you've always known. So like in a city or somewhere and you've repeated the same things year after year, just to get out of that for a month or 2 months and be in a place that fully supports you in that healing capacity will change your life.
Yeah.
It will reprogram your mind. The prana that you have here, being around trees, different way of understanding, it is literally a course to change your life.
Yeah.
No matter where you're at, in what stage, you know.
Yeah, and like with the healing course, which is at the end of July, that's everything about how the body functions and put into practice so that you are rejuvenating. And rather than learning more and more about the universe and the stars and our connection, we're looking at here and now. How's your body? Does it have enough oxygen? And during the course, we are practicing the Ekadasi and bringing stuff up and talking about it, and then breathing through the subconscious inhibitions that have been preventing our breath. Just by breathing through it.
And you've had people on the course that have had severe health issues, such as cancer, brain tumors, that kind of thing on the healing course. But I think it's really important to remember as well, yes, the healing course is great for those people, but it's also great as a preventative measure as well, no matter what age you are or no matter what health issue you have.
Yeah. Well, that's the focus of yoga, is prevention primarily. But a lot of people come to yoga because they didn't prevent. So then, okay, we got to kind of backtrack and use the same methods and techniques to reverse the situation. So this is what I call the program cancer remission, as a therapy program where people come with cancer. So that's very one-on-one and individual. But it has worked so many times, and for other degenerative diseases as well. First of all, the healing course is about, this is how it works. This is what I was doing with these cancer people, with the people who had multiple sclerosis or ALS or various diseases, from simple asthma to terminal cancer. And the methods blow it all away. So everyone should know these methods. I think we should all know a lot more about our own health and how to stay healthy and prevent.
Do you want to touch base here on the records that went missing overseas about when you help people?
Yeah, okay. I mean, just briefly, I had this health clinic in Victoria called CHEAT, Creative Health Institute. And one lady came at the beginning when we opened it up, and she had the brain tumor the size of an orange in her head, and it was interfering with her hearing, and she decided to come for a 2-week treatment instead of going and having her brain cut out and ending up in a wheelchair. What she had to look forward to with medical science was a horror story. So she came and I said, okay, well, let's make a story out of this. We'll take your medical records before and after and show the world how you get rid of a brain tumor. I think everyone would like to know this, even the fact that it's possible. So we did the program, and she had her medical records, was all with the medical system. And after the course of 2 weeks, she went back for an MRI and all the scanning stuff, and they said, well, it's gone. So they said, whatever you did, that's good. We don't understand how it could have disappeared. There was only an outline where it used to be, but the tumor is actually not there anymore. They were kind of blown away. When she said, okay, good, I had talked to you about getting my medical records before and after, and then they said, come back tomorrow, we'll give you everything in the morning. She went back in the morning, and they said, unfortunately, we seem to have lost all of your records. In fact, we have no record of you at all. They just completely deleted all the evidence, which I was going to publish in the local newspaper in British Columbia. That all fell through because there was no medical evidence available. So that's how the medical system is focused on disease. If you have a large number of people sick and needing treatments and needing medicine, this is what keeps the ball rolling. If you could just dissolve a brain tumor in 2 weeks, that would be shocking.
Yeah.
So if people had heard about it, I would have had more people coming, but I couldn't publish anything. So that's one of my stories. But the reality of it did dissolve in 2 weeks, and it was the size of an orange. Okay, so this is, again, Ekadasi, and talking to her life every day. We're breathing together and saying, okay, what happened when you were 4 or 5? What happened when you started school? What was your life like? And she came up with, my uncle, I think he was kind of sexually abusing me for some years. So it created these memories that she had almost forgotten about. Certainly didn't think about it.
The mind's good at that.
Yeah. So the memories came up, and we talked about it, and she breathed her way through it and cried her way through it, and then it went away. So this is the procedure in the cancer remission program. And what I do with the healing course is I'm teaching how I do this, and how you have to guide people through, talk about what's coming up for them with the Ekadasi. Not just breathe, but let's look at things that happened in your past which could create this disease in the future.
Mm.
And once you pull out those things and you cut the emotional trauma involved, then the life force goes back to the glands and organs, and everything gets back in shape,
Mm.
like a tune-up. And of course, there's the sound therapy as part of that tune-up, resetting the vibrational rate of your glands and organs so that they are all vibrating in a harmonic resonance and not all being out of tune with each other. So then, yeah, that brings us to the fourth chakra, which is the Anahata in charge of the healing center. So we spend a week on that and we go in depth the physiological aspect of what does it do, how does it work, why is it not working in many people. So we're looking at the thymus gland as the main endocrine gland that puts out thymosin that activates all the white blood cells. And then what it does as an education center, because your white blood cells all go there and they are molded into a killer T cell or an antibody or a macrophage or a helper cell. All these different white blood cells are educated by the thymus gland. And when you start breathing in deep and you're creating this expansion and contraction around this area, this gland comes back to life. In most adults, it's dysfunctional. It's there when you're young because it's figuring out the environment, it's picking up bacteria and viruses and making antibodies. And then once you've done that, you've grown up, you're familiar with your environment, your immune system knows where all the bugs are.
You forget breathing here.
Yeah. But then you go to another country and there's a whole new set of bacteria. You go from England and you come to live in the tropics and you have different bugs here. So if your immune system has gone to sleep, which for many people it has, you can't adapt to this environment, to these bugs, to these viruses. So yoga, just the breathing again, going back to the breath, it brings this in and activates everything. So your thymus gland comes back to life, your white blood cells are back on par.
And this is a place where you feel all the subtle qualities, like the class that I taught the other day of joy, contentment, freedom, motivation, action, inspiration, creativity, all these beautiful qualities. How many people do you see these days with all of those qualities? Not that many in the West.
No.
You know, even when I feel myself slipping, like, oh, I'm feeling a bit down today or low on mood or action, I know to lean into a practice that cultivates more breathing here, increasing the inhale, back bend. Because we have the information. Not many people have this information.
Yeah. But everybody should. We're all human, and the same techniques work for all human bodies. So, like I say, this stuff should be taught in grade school, talking about breathing and movement and circulation and knowing how we work. And then kids in school can be breathing instead of getting stressed out and rebellious or whatever. Just slow down, take a few breaths. So, different education. So from there we go into the fifth chakra, which is again connecting to the whole electromagnetic ocean, or what they call the ether element, or what science now calls records, information about life, past, present, future, and all the knowledge about the chakras and how to tune in, getting into the Raja Yoga aspect of looking at a mandala for the chakra, doing breathing, and seeing how the information comes. Again, inspiration means to get a new idea. And when you're focused on the mandala for a specific chakra and you are breathing, you get information that is connected to this tuning fork. And you learn to do that. And then learning to bring in possibility
and information of more correct information. Like,
Yeah,
I like using, the food at the health food store. It doesn't mean that it's healthy for you, but you can use your intuition to tap in if it is or not, and
yeah,
feeling and sensing more of what's real, what that person really says. Do you think they really mean that? You can use your intuition to figure stuff out rather than just hearing words. You become more pranic sensitive to understand what's happening in the subtle world, and the yogis were big on this. Like
yeah. That's it. As Swami Gitananda was teaching us, your guru is inside.
mm,
I am a reflection, and I am guiding you to go back in to feel these things. The fourth chakra has this little subdivision called Guru Haridyamanas. It's the heart chakra, and this is your heart. There's brain tissue in the heart that they've recently discovered. So there's a processing center in the heart, and it's connected to our intuition. We're feeling the vibrations from people, and it's telling us the vibration is actually quite good in this case. In that case over there, I feel a little repulsion to get involved with that.
it's
So
like when you separate from a partner. I You feel that. You feel that in the heart, but a lot of people aren't tuned into that. That's a good example of
yeah,
feeling anahata on a subtle realm, not just the physical heartbeat. That feeling of heartbreak,
yeah.
separation.
Well, Anahata is a place of intuition and place of all feelings, and at the essence of it, you have this feeling of joyfulness. But we have layers and layers of emotions on top of that. We can't feel the joyfulness because we're distracted by an emotion and a thought about that emotion that triggers another emotion, another thought. God, in this whirlpool, it's like layers of an onion. We're always going around in these other layers. If you go to the core of Anahata, there's this feeling of blissful energy that's making your heart beat, one beat at a time. It's like,
And then remembering that you have everything that you need right here.
yeah,
That limitless contentment. Like, I don't need anything else when I'm in that sphere. I don't need to worry about this or that, or even a roof over my head and all the other stuff. You remember just right here when you're in that space as well.
yeah,
It's what is real.
yeah. And you connect to that space every time you take one breath. Oh yeah, I'm still breathing. I'm alive. Here and now. What else matters? Because the mind, as Patanjali is pointing out, is getting into all these modifications of bringing up a memory, comparing it to this, and then reading what's the possibility then if this happened yesterday and the situation is similar, is it going to happen again? And we get caught up in this mind game. We're going from the past to the future, memory to imagination. Instead, oh, never mind, never mind. Just be conscious in the moment. And ultimately, this is the goal. And in these yoga techniques that we do in the training, you're learning to do a lot of things. I mentioned the Oli Mudras, which are a series of techniques to reboot all of the endocrine glands and bring them back to peak performance. But you have to practice techniques, and they're not that easy. So this is part of getting in control of yourself, bringing your health, your whole health, back to peak performance. And then you can go into meditative states where your body has no issues or problems. You can sit, be here, work with the breath, and we work with breathing and stopping the breath. Retentions, there's retentions in, retentions out, and you can pause the breath and see that actually the mind just stop thinking. Also, I'm just present in the moment. And this leads into meditational states of consciousness not being controlled by mental thoughts and processes, but consciousness just expanding into the feeling of the vibration of this whole energy world, which just feels blissful. But we have many obstacles in our path generally. and we have a lot of negative ideas to contend with. So we clear all that and then go into possibility. What is possible? So possibly you can come for the healing forest, you can come for yoga teacher training, learn about all these things and how to clear the past trauma, get rid of disease possibilities which exist in your mind and can be manifested. So again, between the Ekadasi and the empowerment methods of Panchasahita, etc., we change our situation. Okay.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Bye.